That incredibly compressed intro makes skateboarding look really cool. You have amazing tricks that can be pulled off on rails, ramps, stairs and anything else that you can get your board onto. It's a shame then because actually playing Thrasher Skate and Destroy does not look or feel like that. This game does have some good ideas, it's just that they're not implemented very well, and a certain franchise named Tony Hawk later showed how skateboarding games could be done for the next decade. Unlike Mr. Hawk's game, Thrasher Skate and Destroy is much more of a simulation. Unlike the usual Tony Hawk setup where cross is jump and then the rest of the face buttons are your tricks, Thrasher decides to let you use each face button independently for their tricks. What I mean by that is that you have an ollie button, but it solely does ollies and landing. Square is for doing grabs, triangle is for doing flip tricks, and circle is for doing spins. The idea is that you hold the buttons prior to performing the trick. As you hold a button down and press a different direction, you can see in the bottom right corner that it cycles between your moves. So if you were to hold down triangle and then left, you do one move, and if you were to hold right you would do another. Because of this, there's no big combo moves like in Tony Hawk's where you could do like 4 different kickflips in a row with a grab at the same time. This is much more real to what skateboarding's actually like. And because it's trying to be a little bit realer, it also means that landing is super important. It's very easy to bail in this game, and it does often lead to hilarious outcomes. But it's also incredibly frustrating. In say something like Tony Hawk's, if you accidentally went into a wall at a random angle, or even just landed a little bit squiffy, you could sometimes get out of it. This, if you're in the air and touch anything else, you will just bail. And you need to not let that happen because you also have a damage meter, something that was actually in the original Tony Hawk's but then got taken out later on. Because this game has ragdoll physics, it's very easy to make a massive amount of damage from one fall. Going back to the moves, you don't actually get the full selection of moves at the beginning of the game. As you slowly complete levels, you actually unlock new moves. You need to use these moves and move around the stage quite often because if you stay in one area, the score doesn't actually go up very much. Problem is, a lot of the stages aren't particularly great to play on. If there's something that's got a nice run up to it like a ledge or a handrail, then it's quite nice to go on, but grinding's really awkward and without a balance meter, you can't really tell what the limits are before falling off. I get that they're all based on famous locations around the world, but the levels are made so compact that it's quite hard to actually find a nice run. One key difference though from Tony Hawk's is that at the end of a level, unless it's a competition, you're going to get chased by someone, whether it's the police or just some random bystander with a baseball bat. Even if you've beaten the score for the level, if you don't escape this, you will fail and have to do the stage again. It can be super annoying to get caught out, but at the same time, if you perform tricks while you're being chased and you're slightly short of the mark, you can actually earn a load more points this way, though I'd much prefer to just get the right amount of points the first time and just run away. You do accrue sponsors as you make it through the game, but the brands they use aren't my particular favourites. One thing that is good though is the licensed soundtrack, something that I can't play here. It's mostly a hip hop soundtrack, with groups like Sugar Hill Gang, Public Enemy and Rem DMC all providing music. Aside from the odd flip trick, most things you do don't actually look particularly good. For example, trying to do any flip trick into a grind into a flip out never really looks particularly good, mainly because you lose so much speed when you start grinding. Add to the fact that if you want to do a trick on a certain direction, you better line up it beforehand because you will start turning, meaning you could potentially miss your jump. It's not particularly long with only 12 levels, but it's also not particularly hard. There is a harder difficulty to put it onto, meaning you have to actually press a button to land the tricks properly, but other than that, it's not that different. When I first got this, I'd already been playing Tony Hawk's for a few years, and so I was completely accustomed to how that game worked. I think the biggest difference between Tony Hawk's and this is that when you actually do pull off a big trick, you do feel far more accomplished, because it takes a lot more effort to actually land something in this. And I get that it's going for realism, but that's probably also the biggest negative I have with it. So compared to the other skateboarding games on the system like Tony Hawk's and Street Skater, this is one I'd say is in the middle. It's not bad, but it's also not great. Again, it's probably another one that's better to play with your friends so you can all have a good laugh as you try and actually perform just a basic kickflip. Anyways, I've been Tom from Jakejames Gaming, thanks for watching and have a great gaming day.